Sunday's done. Week 17 is over. We had 11 games. We had, of course, big performances, weird performances, dud performances. We're going to recap all of Sunday's action in the NBA for fantasy basketball alongside Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy Basketball, your daily fantasy basketball podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd, and only psychopaths send voice notes. I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and you can find me on Twitter as always at redrock_bball, on TikTok at redrock_bball, and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That is $150 if your bet wins. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn to get started. Thank you also for making Locked On Fantasy Basketball your first listen every day. We are free. We are available on all platforms. So, here we are, ready to go. Be a double banger. You can go hit that thumbs up, that bell. This show, again, won't be fully out on audio, but you will be listening to this at some point on Monday. Hopefully we get it out around Monday lunchtime, and that's when you're listening to it. All the other ones will backload in there as well once we get it done and we're all finished with that transition, which was frustrating, but sometimes it's got to happen because we have to do stuff from a business perspective, and that's what we needed to do. So, audio should be back to regular transmission from here on out. So we had 11 games on Sunday. We'll talk about all of those games. We'll talk about anything else we need to talk about, give out awards at the end. Then we'll do a bit of an industry pickup and all my other leagues recap towards the end of the show. I said 11 games on. This is the end of week 17. We are getting perilously close to the end of the fantasy basketball season. So let's just get straight in to some news. And we talked about it on the earlier shows today, but Trae Young having surgery. The reevaluation says 4 weeks. I did a bit more digging into it, and I'm thinking this is not 4 weeks. There's a doctor I saw on Twitter that said usually these sort of ligament surgeries is back to play in 6 weeks. We've got him currently out 5 weeks over at Basketball Monster, just because 4 weeks reevaluation, he won't be back on the dot. That means April, like he's not back in March, and that's a drop in almost all formats. Of course, if you go to the end of the year and you've got an ability to stash on a bench or sit in a injured slot, then you do it. But Trae's done. Like that's the regular season basically over, and it might be actually officially over for him. And then what they do in the play-in or not, who knows? We'll talk about the Hawks and them replacing Trae Young later in the show. Ben Simmons, they listed him questionable for Monday. Come on, there's no way. Like they listed him questionable, but I'm projecting him for 0 minutes because A, he left the game early with a leg problem, and it's a back-to-back. He was going to sit one of Monday or Tuesday anyway. There's almost no chance he plays on Monday. Why do teams do this? We'll see. Maybe I'm proven wrong and there is egg on my face and Simmons trots out there and plays on Monday and then sits Tuesday or unbelievably plays both of the games. But this seems ridiculous. There's almost no chance that Ben Simmons is playing on Monday. None. We'll find out. Antari lost season is seeking some second opinions on his leg issue. I don't think he's coming back this season either. And you should have dropped him 2 months ago, maybe. He's a very, very easy drop. If you haven't, not really sure what you're waiting for. I don't think he's coming back at all. He could, of course, he could come back and prove me wrong with that one too. But I just I don't see that being a likely situation. Let's go into the first game of the day. An early one, the Milwaukee Bucks and the Philadelphia 76ers. Nico Batum, who was available last game. Sure, he played 2 seconds in that game. He moved back into the starting lineup. And Kelly Oubre moved to the bench as the Sixers took on the Bucks. The Bucks win it easy. 119-98. Doc Rivers revenge game here in this one. Not a lot to take out of it from the Bucks' perspective, I think. Like, Lillard is getting a little bit back on track. He actually shot well in this game, 24-7 and 9 on 53%. Yanni's doing his thing, but one thing that's interesting to watch is you look at Bobby Portis' numbers. You go 17 and 5 with 2 blocks. That's amazing. Yeah, it is. but he played only 19 minutes, and his minutes have been down of late. 20 minutes of Bobby Portis, to me, is not an absolute anchor lock 12-team league player. You can have him, but it's not a lock. And Leaky Beasley's getting 32 a night. He had 20 points with 6 threes. We know what it is. He's a stream guy. He hits 78% of his shots. If he doesn't hit 78% of his shots and he hits 40% of his shots, instead of going 7 of 9, he goes 4 of 9. I say 3 threes less. That's 9 points less. That's 11 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist. And you go, what am I doing with this guy? So use him when you need to, but don't be overly fooled by that. Brook Lopez had 11 and 7 with 5 blocks, which is great, while Jay Crowder went scoreless again. This man is bad. He had 8 rebounds and 3 assists, and we're still waiting the return of Chris Middleton. The Italian cock Danilo Gallinari played 9 minutes and was scoreless, and he is washed, unfortunately for him. For the Sixers, Maxey, 24, 3 and 7, 3 steals, 38 minutes. Great. Don't need to focus on that. But what we do need to focus on is DeAnthony Melton. Because again, you look on the surface, you go 16 points is unbelievable. That's great. He's back. Awesome. 4 threes, 2 steals. Cool. All that's great. He played 18 minutes. And I know he's ramping back up from his back issue. I don't know what his actual ceiling for minutes are. He was only playing 30 before Buddy Hield and Kyle Lowry were there anyway. And he's not going to be running at 30% usage, which he was in this game. I still don't think that he'll be an absolute lock, guaranteed 12-team league guy. You can have him for sure. Points league, I definitely wouldn't bother with it. You can roster him in a 12-team category. I just think there is so much competition for minutes there. There's going to be a lot of back and forth. And what I said about Buddy Hield is coming to fruition. 11 points in 28 minutes, 3 threes. There's too many guys there. He didn't shoot well. The assists have fallen away. The usage isn't what it was in those first couple of games. There you go. Oubre played 29 minutes. I don't know why Nurse loves this guy so much. 12 and 9 with 3 steals on poor shooting as it is basically every time he's out there. Not a 12-team league guy either.
Get that garbage out of here.
While Lowry had 3 points, 3 assists, and 2 steals. That's just streamy stuff. Only 27 minutes for Paul Reed, which is a little annoying. As usual, though, he had 5 fouls, but still 13 and 8, 2 blocks. This is why we like Paul Reed for fantasy, is he puts up numbers even in limited minutes. He's never going to be a top 40 player unless he somehow got 33 a night, which he won't, but just remains a must-roster guy. And just remember that the next time he has a bad game, and he will, I assure you he will, have a bad game without any hesitation at all. That overall, the numbers are good. 84th over the last 2 weeks in 30 minutes a night on average. Like, the numbers are good. There just will be bad games in there. Toby Harris, speaking of bad games, 8 points in 27% shooting for Harris. At least he had 3 blocks, which is completely out of the ordinary for him, but he got him, so I'm not gonna ding him too much for that. Today's episode is brought to you by Grammarly. All those emails, reports, presentations, they're all equally important to whatever you're doing through work, your collaborations, whatever you need to get things done, and Grammarly can be here to help. I use Grammarly all the time, and I've used it for years and years and years. At least 10 years I've been using Grammarly. Plugins through my browser, standalone apps on desktop and on mobile. Grammarly helps you, not only figure out your grammar, make corrections for tone, and for run-on sentences, passive voice, that sort of stuff. Spell check, obviously, but also has an AI component as well to help you brainstorm ideas and be an AI assistant when you are writing. Data privacy and security is also woven into the foundation of Grammarly. Grammarly is the gold standard of responsible AI with 14 years of experience and just about every IT certification under the sun. Grammarly is a secure AI writing partner that helps your team make their point and move faster. Make a bigger impact at work with Grammarly. Sign up and download for free at grammarly.com/podcast. That is grammarly.com/podcast. Easier said, done. So after that one, we move on to the second early game of the day, which was the Lakers taking on the Phoenix Suns. As my little screen just stops working there, that's fine. We're good. Lakers and the Suns in Phoenix. The Suns had a couple of interesting lineup changes. Obviously, Bradley Beal remains out, but Yusuf Nurkic returned, so he started, and Drew Eubanks went to the bench, and Royce O'Neal was who started in place of Eric Gordon, who was out, who was starting in place of Bradley Beal. And remember that part of it when we get onto this, because there is going to be a lot of stuff going on about the Suns side of things, and we'll get to that in one sec. But we'll talk Lakers. The Suns win at 123-113. Davis played 42 minutes. He had 22, 14, 3 steals, 2 blocks. Amazing. He's been ridiculous all season. LeBron, 28, 7 and 12 with 2 steals. Remember game 1? Are we going to be keeping LeBron to 30 minutes a night or whatever it was that Pocket said? Yeah, cool. Good on you, mate. D'Angelo Russell sort of settled in here to a rhythm after that insanely cold streak and then the insanely hot streak. He sort of settled in. 20-3 with 7 assists, and Reeves had 14-4-4 as well. Reeves actually rated higher than Russell over the last 2 weeks for fantasy. Bit surprising to me. Hachimura Ruid, he's had 13 points with 4 rebounds, and you will be shocked to know that he had 0 assists, 0 steals, and 0 blocks. He shot 56 from the field on 9 attempts, and he just is not good enough across multiple categories to be considered a must-roster player. Points leagues, I guess you could have a crack, but while guys are out, Vanderbilt, Reddish, Wood, Vincent, those guys are out, then, yeah, there's something there for Rui. But long-term, I refuse. Maybe I refuse. Maybe it is being stubborn. But again, the numbers, I think, agree with me on whether Rui is good for fantasy. And the answer is no. What else happened here? Speaking of not good.
Get that garbage out of here.
Spencer Dinwiddie, 3 points, 23 minutes, 20% shooting. One of the easiest, the smoothest, the most satisfying jacks you'll have. Get Dinwiddie out of here. He's bad. There's just no chance for him to be good, unfortunately for him. But the Suns, like I said, no Beal, no Gordon. Remember that. Because we've got 2 players to really talk about. Royce O'Neal, 37 minutes, 20-10, 6 threes, 2 steals, 1 block. That's amazing. That's a ridiculously good game. Do you trust Royce O'Neal to be a double-double guy that hits 6 threes on 60% shooting? Do you trust Royce O'Neal to be a player... he's a plus 22, that's good, but to get 37 minutes, because there are 55 minutes, probably minimum, for Beal and Gordon to take. Beal will play 35. Gordon plays minimum 20, maybe more. So they're going to come back. O'Neal just won't start. He won't. And he won't get these minutes. And remember, overarching here, the Suns do not play until Thursday. Can you deal with zeros for 3 days? Now, the end of week schedule is great. 3 games, 4 nights, weekend back-to-back, no one else has. And that's okay. It's a good run from O'Neal. I just don't buy it as a long-term thing. And I'll say the same thing for Bol. Bol played 24 minutes. He had 11-4 with 2 blocks. Pretty strong game. Pretty strong. It's not blowing anyone away. 11-4-1. It's okay. The 2 blocks are good. Frank Vogel, post-game, came out and said, yeah, we're going to have Bol in the rotation. Probably the same role that he has now. And Frank, you're lying. I'll tell you that, he's lying. And I'll tell you why I know he's lying, because he's already said that once this season that Bol was going to be in the rotation, and then Bol lost his spot in the rotation, came out of the All-Star break, didn't play any minutes there as well. But he's also not going to play 24 minutes a night because, again, Beal and Gordon need to return. And when Beal and Gordon return, Beal starts, so Gordon's on the bench, O'Neal's on the bench, and Bol is on the bench. So Bol is, the 8th man at best? Does he take all of Drew Eubanks' center minutes? Perhaps. But who else got minutes on the bench? 9 minutes of Saban Lee and 5 minutes of Josh Okogie? There's not enough playing time. Frank needs to play the 240 game. There's not enough playing time for Bol to play 24 minutes a night and be in this role. It doesn't exist. So if you do make the decision to go and add Bol right now, remember, zeros. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Maybe Beal and Gordon return on Thursday. Maybe they don't. And maybe Bol actually does play 25 minutes a night. He plays over Gordon and he plays over O'Neal and he plays these minutes every night. Maybe that's possible. Maybe him and Nurkic get into a minute split. Doubt it, but maybe they do. In fact, also worth remembering that Bol Bol played 0 minutes at center in this game because Nurkic played 37 and Eubanks played 10. 0 minutes for Bol at center. Remember that part of it too. So I just find it really hard to think that A, he plays enough, regularly enough, to be useful enough in 12s, especially with this bad schedule. Nurkic was amazing. He'd been trending down in a hard way. Came back from an ankle sprain, had 18, 22, and 7. 22 rebounds out of nowhere. Booker and Durant were fine. 21, 3, and 9 for Devin. 22, 5, and 7 for Durant. Some pretty good numbers for both of those guys. But again, they're probably not the major focus of what we're looking at here, given the big spikes there of Bol, but the other big spike of Royce O'Neal. The next game we're going to take a look at is the Dallas Mavericks taking on the Indiana Pacers. The Pacers blow them out. 133-111 is the final score here in this one. Let's talk about Dallas. Josh Green was good again. Importantly, he played 32 minutes. It's also important to note that Luka played only 33 and Kyrie played only 32 because it was a blowout. But Green had 14 and 5 with 2 steals and 2 threes. He's top 100 over the last 2 weeks and only 26 minutes a night, mainly because he can't miss. He hit 75% of his shots here. He's doing, I think, on the streaming show yesterday, I said, if you're looking for a 3-point percentage stream, maybe look to Josh Green. What a huge W that was. 2 of 3 from 3. But he's hitting every shot in the world at the moment, and that's not going to hold. Will he continue to get 32 a night? We'll see when Dante Exum ever returns, if ever. What does that do to Green? Green will probably start, but I think he's more of a fringe streamer than a must roster. And that brings us onto the centers. And unfortunately, we have to double fist this.
Get that garbage out of here!
Because we're not holding on to Derek Lively, who played 14 minutes. He had 4 and 3 with 4 steals. I love those 4 steals, mate. I'm not rostering a 14-minute-a-night center. And he might not play 14 every night, but these minutes actually are down from the last game. He needs 27, I think. I don't think we need to do this. And unfortunately, a man who's been on my team all season, strong across many leagues, I don't think we can hold Daniel Gafford. Gafford played 19 minutes. He had 8 and 5 with a block. Gafford needs 24, and I don't think he's getting it. I would definitely prioritize holding Gafford over Lively, but if you're in a desperate situation, and as always, who's your worst bloke? And if Gafford's your worst player, with the way the minutes are going here, you might have to move on. I'd also be okay jacking PJ Washington.
Get that garbage out of here!
2 points, that's so PJ. 2 points, 2 steals, 31 minutes, and Kleber had 3 points in 25. Jason Kidd has 4 different guys he's going to chuck in there now. This is not as simple as Lively and Gafford just splitting the minutes. It's splitting it with 2 other people. It's just not. It's not a doable scenario, I don't think. Again, if I'm prioritizing anybody, I am prioritizing Gafford. But I don't, and if I'm in a points league, I don't really have any hesitation about jacking off Gafford here. Category league, it's a little bit different, but it does make it really tough. Doncic had 33, 6 and 6 with 2 blocks. Irving, 29, 6 and 2. Good games for both of those guys, but again, they got smacked. Halliburton for the Pacers only needed 31 minutes, 17, 3 and 10 with 4 steals, while Turner had 33 points in his 30. Another sort of mid-Pascal Siakam game. I'm not going to ding him too much, but he hasn't been playing that well. He's still outside the top 50 for the season. He's 86th over the last 2 weeks. He had 12 and 9 with 2 steals. Nembhard was good, though. I think Nembhard is, with a great schedule this week, Nembhard is looking like a 12-teamer for now. 15 and 3, 1-3 with a steal, and this was also a really good Ben Mathurin game. Now, Mathurin didn't shoot well, 36%, but 14, 11 and 5 with 3 steals and 3 threes. That's at least good enough for Monday. There are 4 games on Monday, and Neesmith is out again. Now, Mathurin could easily kill you. And me telling you that streaming him in on Monday is a good idea is there. And I'm fully well aware that he could have 6 points on 1% shooting and play 10 minutes because Rick Carlisle hated what he did. Totally reasonable, totally possible, but it's also not the point of streaming. We can't nail every single projection every single time. What we look for is how's the trends going, how's the opportunity looking, all that sort of stuff. And understanding it could blow up at any point. So, stream him in. They've got a good schedule. Don't be afraid to cut. And then we had Ben Shepherd, who played well. 15 points, 4 assists, 5 threes. For you deeper league guys, great schedule this week. Good opportunity with no Neesmith. He's going to have chances. And Tim McConnell, 12 points, 7 assists. He just gets it done in low minutes. Always going to be interested to get those guys who can get it done in low minutes when the schedule aligns, and it does align for the Pacers. Today's episode is also brought to you by Stitch Fix. You know that instant confidence boost that you get when an outfit makes you look really good? Well, with Stitch Fix, that's what you get. Because you go in there, you set style preferences. You go in there, you get the budget preferences. You tell them your size, and then a professional stylist gets a hold of all that info, has a look over it, and goes, yeah, I think we can do something here. And they send you boxes of clothes. 5 items in a box. You order that box whenever you want. You don't have to worry about a subscription situation. They send it to you based on all those preferences you've already chucked out there. You have a look and you go, yeah, pretty good, eh? You put them on, you like it. But if you don't like it, it's fine. We're all good. Because shipping, returns, and exchanges are always free over at Stitch Fix. You don't have to worry about wasting time. When am I going to find the time? When am I going to go to the shop? What shop do I go to? What actually looks good? Outsource it. Get the blokes over at Stitch Fix to sort you out. Style that makes you feel as good as you look. Get started today at stitchfix.com/lockedon. That is stitchfix.com/lockedon. stitchfix.com/lockedon. Okay, so 3 games done. Let's take a look at the 4th game of the day. It was the Cleveland Cavaliers going into Washington to take on the Washington Wizards, of course. Donovan Mitchell returned from his illness, so he moved back into the starting lineup, replacing Isaac Okoro. Couldn't have been a more predictable or expected change to a starting lineup than that one. The Cavs win at 114-105, so not as big of a blowout as we've seen in some past Wizards lineups. So they kept it close, and we got some very interesting things. Let's talk Cleveland first, 114-105. With Mitchell back, the winter soldier Max Strus was bad again. 3 points, 27 minutes. He did have a knee problem early in the game. Watch that one. But 3, 3, and 5. Missed all 3 of his shots. We can jack him.
Get that garbage out of here.
It was a good game from Karis LeVert, though. 18, 12, and 8. We don't normally get those from him. In fact, he's been dreadful. And I don't care. I'm not adding him. Mobley, only 29 minutes. And that's under 32 in a row here for Mobley. That's a little interesting. First game out of the break, he played 34. Then he's gone 29-29. But he had 21 and 6, 1 steal, 5 blocks with some foul troubles. That's part of the reason the minutes were low. Jarrett Allen had 22 and 12 on 61%. Mitchell, poor shooting, 16, 4 and 5. And Garland also poor shooting, but 17, 2 and 7. Again, I think some of the worries on Garland were definitely overblown, but they're sort of gone now. Not much else going on here for the Cavs, but Okoro moved back to the 19-minute role, 7 points off the bench. So if you decided to add him, obviously you don't need to do that anymore. But let's talk about the Wizards, because they once again started Landry Shamet with Denny Avdia out. And then there was about 40 minutes before game time, they announced that Corey Kispert was now questionable with illness. They go, oh no, that's never a good sign, a late questionable tag, and you just assume they're out. These absolute clowns, though, and I could be referring to the Wizards or I could be referring to the NBA. I'm actually referring to both. But they ruled him out 5 minutes after the game had started. How that is allowed, I have no idea. If he's like sick enough to put a late questionable tag on him, just rule him out. Versus doing it at 15 minutes past the official start time, which of course is 5 minutes into the game. Another ridiculous thing. So Shamet was out. Kispert was out. Avdia was out. And then we had Bilal Coulibaly last 6 minutes before he hurt his back and he was gone. 3 points for him. So a lot of guys out. But that meant that we got some very interesting things. In fact, my best friend, Jordan Poole, played 38 minutes. He had 31, 5, and 5 with 6 threes on 52% shooting. And there are a couple of ways to look at this. All season, we have been annoyed by Jordan Poole. He never got the usage role that I thought. You might not have. That's fine. The usage role that I thought he would get, that never eventuated. It was like, well, okay, he's just not touching the ball. That happened. The shot has been dreadful all season. But one of the things I've preached all the time with Poole is, okay, you can drop him, no problem. If you're annoyed with him, I get it. But realistically think about, is there a higher upside player that you're getting off the wire? And for most of the season, the answer to that was no. Right? And then we said, okay, you can drop him now, but always have that in the back of your head. Well, the last 3 games coming off the bench, the usage is exactly sort of where we thought it would be. 29, 41, and 29 have been his 3 usage numbers. So it's very easy to look at this game and say, well, he only did this because Avdia, Kispert, and Bilal were out. And that is probably why he played 38 minutes, Jordan Poole. That's true. But the usage, that's the same as it's been. Because in those other games, Avdia played 1 of them, Bilal played 2 of them, Kispert played 2 of them, and he still had big usage. We still had this at least 28 usage. He just played extra minutes here. He shot poorly in those other games too. Part of the reason he is just a few more minutes and shot really well. 46 on 3, 63 on 2. So we go back to that original question. Is there actually a higher upside guy on your waiver wire than Jordan Poole? I'll guess the answer is probably no. I wouldn't mind adding him back, but understanding there's going to be frustration. But the positives of him coming off the bench are very clear. The usage of is it 21 or something for the season, 22 usage. He's now at 28, 41, 28 the last 3 games. So we're basically 30 average over his last 3 games off the bench. And that's enough to matter. So yeah. We also got 37 minutes from Landry Shamet, which he won't get each night either. 15 points, 3 threes, 5 rebounds, 3 steals. Cool. I don't care that much about that one. And Kuzma had a pretty strong game. He didn't shoot well, of course, from the field or from the line, but 27, 7, and 5, steal and a block, good numbers. Tyus Jones, only 3 points. That's weird. 25% shooting with 10 assists. We're still holding there. When Bagley got the minutes back up, which is we wanted to see. 33 minutes from Bags, but only 9 and 9 with a block. I don't think Marvin Bagley's good. I still think you need to roster him in 12-team leagues, though. They started John Davis in the second half. He remains possibly the NBA's worst player. 2 points in 16 minutes. And even that little flourish that he had at the end of last season, I'm starting to lose any hope that even if they ruled 7 blokes out, he still wouldn't be able to get enough shots or hit enough of them for it to make any difference whatsoever. A nice little 11-7 from Holmes as well. That's only very deep league stuff there pretty clearly. But interesting stuff with Poole. We do have to factor in Avdia, Kispert, and Bilal out. And there's a lot of hate around Jordan Poole, and I do get that. But let's be honest, like Bilal is a very low usage player. Denny's an average usage player. Kispert's like a marginally average usage player. It's not like saying Kuzma was out, who's a big usage guy. That wasn't the case. So it was more the extra minutes there for Poole that meant anything, and the fact that his shots went in. But it is obviously a somewhat, depending on how you feel about Jordan Poole, somewhat intriguing development to see him do a little bit more here. Let's do the next game. The Denver Nuggets go to Golden State to take on the Warriors. Jamal Murray was back for the champs. The headmaster moved back into the starting lineup. Reggie Jackson, predictably, moved to the bench. And the Nuggets get the victory in the end pretty comfortably. 119-103, the final score. On the Denver side of things, Jokic, just another masterful triple-double. 32, 16, and 16. 4 steals, a block. Elite shooting. This guy is rocketing back up the rankings, even though, I know he's always been high, but he's not number 1. He's not number 2 in per game numbers, but he will be soon. It feels like he's jumping back up. The headmaster started out this game slow. Jamal Murray, 27, 4, and 3. That's good. While KCP, not a bad game from Kentavious. I don't care. Not rostering him in 12s. 13, 2, and 3 with 2 dribbles. And Maga Porter Jr., who was excellent last game, he had 9 points on 27%. This is the Michael Ponder experience. He'll have stretches of 2-3 good games and then 2-3 bad games, or maybe we alternate good and bad games. Overall, the end product is good enough from a ranking perspective, which again, all these ranking numbers are always tied more into roto. Remember that part of it. But I'm going to start doing a lot more work on this in the off-season about variance and how we judge that or how we take that into consideration with players, because the way this guy goes up and down is pretty crazy. 17 and 6 for Aaron Gordon with 3 steals and a block in those 33 minutes. And Peyton Watson, yuck from him. Only 11 minutes. He had 3 points there, while Brown and Najee and Reggie Jackson got some bench run. Peyton had been playing well. Not so much in this one. For the Warriors, Klay Thompson went crazy, especially early. Now, in the end, he slowed down to just like a regular sort of game. 23 points in 31 minutes with 5 threes. The problem, though, with Klay is exposed pretty clearly here. 2 rebounds, 1 assist, 0 steals, 0 blocks. So if he didn't go crazy with the shooting, if he didn't go second in the team in shot attempts, which he was here, if he shot as poorly as he had the games before, he's just useless. He was pretty good here, but doesn't do enough in any other area for me to feel super confident about suggesting that he is must roster, because I'm not sure that he is. Wiggins is not really hitting any big highs, but he's being at least consistently good. 14, 4, and 4 for Wiggo, while Draymond had 7 and 5, in 27 minutes with 4 assists. Pajemski, 4, 6, and 4, 30 minutes. I think he does end up a category league drop. Points leagues, he probably does as well. I'll hold for now. But there's just too many inconsistencies, which, again, understandable. He's a rookie in his game, and then you're going to have Chris Paul returning at some point. Another bad night from Steph. He's had a few bad nights. He's been obviously much better lately, so that was not the right wording there. 20 and 1 with 4 assists on 32%. What I was looking at is going another low minute night for John Kuminga. And this is happening way too often for Kuminga. And this one, there's no foul trouble. There's no nothing. 25 minutes, 19 and 6. He got to the line 13 times. He only hit 69% of them. But these low minutes are becoming a real problem for Kuminga, who's now 162nd over the last 2 weeks. We are hurtling towards the stage where Kuminga is a drop. If I'm in a 8-team league, he's done. If I'm in a 10, it's borderline. And it's not just about, is he having shooting slumps? Because, he was bad from the line, but it's the minutes. The minutes consistently are down. And if he's a 25-minute a night player, there's no way that I'm rostering him in 10-team leagues or 12s, honestly. I'll hold for now, but also remember, a track record of Kuminga versus a 18-game, was it even 18 games? 15-game hot streak. Which one of those is real? And that is always worth considering. Gary Payton had 2 steals. That's what he is. He's sort of a steals streamer. And not a lot else. Let's go on to the next game. We're talking the Orlando Magic, but I can't do the because they lost, even though I just did it. Ooh, loophole. They lose to your Atlanta Hawks. Some lineup changes here in this one. for both teams. First of all, Orlando was without Paolo Banchero, so they decided to start Goga Bitadze. All right, so Goga replaces Paolo, and then Gary Harris was out, so they moved Mr. Black into the starting lineup there. And then for the Hawks, predictably, Trae Young was out, and Bogdan Bogdanovic replaced him. That is going to be the relatively common thing that they do. I think that is that's fair to say that Bogdan's going to have a pretty strong run of starting opportunities here. The Hawks win it, though, 109-92. I guess Trae is the problem, and that is why they're losing all those games, is because he was playing. That is sarcasm, just in case. The Magic were without Paolo, no Gary Harris, and then Jonathan Isaac, 2 minutes in, hurt his knee, and we just don't know now. The Magic, there's an epidemic in the NBA. I don't believe that I have ever seen a joint issue labeled as a strain before this season. Ankle issues, knee issues. Teams would just come out and say sprain. Knee sprain, ankle sprain, because that's what they are. We have an epidemic of NBA teams calling them strains now. And I find it really, really tough to believe that every one of these is a pulling of the muscle around the joint. Why are teams doing this? It continues to happen. Isaac's injury, I won't say it was so bad, but it was so bad that he left the court and didn't take free throws 2 minutes in. Didn't even just attempt them and then get out. He was done. X-rays were negative, which doesn't really mean much. I don't know if it's going to be a long-term thing, but it's John Isaac. Like, it's going to be at least a week here. Which is, again, for him, I'm sure it's incredibly frustrating to just have that another thing go wrong. We'll see what ends up coming from that. Wendell Carter played 34 minutes with Goga next to him, 18 and 10, but we all know he hadn't been getting anywhere near these minutes when he was playing as that lone center. Good game. Still not convinced that it's must roster. That's Franz Wagner, 19, 8, and 5, while Mo had 2 points in 13 minutes. So Mo Wagner had been killing it and then just didn't play. But Dadze had 2 points, 3 blocks, 19 minutes, not rushing to add him. We did get the good minutes from Cole Anthony, which is weird that he got 30 minutes in the game that Markelle Fultz played. He had 15 points with 2 blocks in those 30 minutes. Just keep an eye on Cole. He's looking better. I don't think he's a 12-team must-add guy or anything, but he is looking a little bit better. While Mr. Black had 4 points in his 27 minutes and Fultz had 3 points in 12 minutes. Someone left a comment on one of my videos yesterday and said, "Josh, what are you doing? You need to give up on Markelle Fultz." Like, okay, I did that like weeks ago. And yeah, you don't roster Markelle Fultz. Like, he's not a 10 or a 12-team league guy. At least he was back, but we're not rostering him. Joe Ingles didn't do a huge amount here, while Caleb Houston had 12 points with 4 triples for the Hawks. DeJounte, there was no Trae, so he played 39 minutes. It's going to be a monster run here for DeJounte down the stretch. 25, 9, 11, 2 steals. He might actually put up like top 20 numbers rest of the way here. He very easily could do that. DeAndre Hunter, 18 and 7, 2 threes, 2 steals. The hot streak continues. He cannot miss. He hasn't missed a free throw in a couple of weeks. He's hitting all of his shots from the field. He only took 8 shots, and there's a little red flaggy. But 63%, he's putting up numbers. Yeah, we add him. Jalen Johnson, 21, 10, and 7, 2 blocks. Awesome. Clint Capella is very clearly injured. They brought him back early because Okongwu was out. He cannot move. 4 and 7 in 17 minutes. But they're not going with Fernando. He had 7 and 4 assists with 2 steals, the lob threat legend. They're just going small with Jalen at center. Bay had 12, 2, and 1. Horribly mid. That's who he is. But you roster him because these guys are out. And then they did actually play Kobe Bufkin, which I love. Now, did Bufkin do much? No. 2 points, 3 assists, steal and a block. But the fact that they went to him instead of going to Patty Mills or Wes Matthews is massively encouraging. He needs to get every backup minute behind Murray, and he also needs to get minutes playing next to Murray. He needs to take some of these 17 minutes that Gary Bird's getting, Garrison Matthews. We're not adding Bufkin in 10s or 12s or 14s. This is probably 2 weeks away minimum from maybe something happening. And even then, it's not guaranteed. But we watch, and number one step is here. Much like the Taylor Hendricks at the trade deadline thing. After the break, we saw him, or after the deadline, into the rotation. 18 minutes. You go, oh, okay. So that's step 1 cleared. And that's the same with Bufkin here. Step 1 is cleared. Into the rotation. The next step is working the way through to get to 24 minutes or 23 minutes. He probably never does anything for 12 teamers this year, Bufkin, but if this team is going nowhere and then Murray gets dinged up, well, then it's going to have to be Bufkin time. So just keep an eye on it. Step 1 is there, and he's taking that spot in the rotation at this stage, which is again good news. Not much else I think we need to talk about there. No, let's go on to the next game. Let's talk Oklahoma City Thunder. Let's talk Houston Rockets. The Thunder do it again. 123-110 is the final score in this one. Let's talk Chet, who went crazy. 29, 8, and 7 assists, 3 blocks, 33 minutes, 5 threes, 69% shooting, 7th ranked player over the last 2 weeks. Will Chet and Wemby both be first rounders next season? I don't think Chet will be. Second rounder, probably. Shea was awesome as well. 36, 5, and 7 with 3 steals and a block. And Lou Dort. This is a nice little run from Dorter. The big fella had 16 and 5 with 4 threes. Still only treating him as a streamer, but don't look now, but top 50 over the last 2 weeks. 14 teamers, I'm just adding him and using him. Giddey, just the 23 minutes again. You can't really sneeze at 9 rebounds, 5 assists, and 3 steals. They're good numbers, but he shot 20%. I still don't think he's a must-roster guy. For some of your teams, he'll make perfect sense and you can use him, but I don't think you need to. While the Bronco, Jalen Williams, it's been a bit of a shooting roller coaster from him this season, and this was a bad night, 41% on 22 attempts. The fact that he took 22 attempts is huge. He scored 22, 4, and 5 with no defensive stats, and those defensive stats, one of those things we steals. We talk about how they just don't always, or they are the biggest variance year-on-year thing. Like, they're just not there. He's been able to get good value by doing other things, but yeah, the steals has disappeared. And Gordon Hayward played 12 minutes again. Yeah, cool.
Get that garbage out of here.
We do not need to roster him for the Rockets. What happened here? Jabari Smith playing 41 minutes a night now. 2 games ago, he was dreadful. And the last 2 games, Udoka's gone, let's go. 20 and 17, 4 threes and 4 assists. Love it. Didn't shoot well, but love it. Bit of panic going around about Alperen Şengün at the moment. I get it. He was bad in this game. He didn't play well at all. I didn't think he still ended up with 19 and 12 with a 1-1. But the thing is, at the moment, his usage is a little bit down. Now, his usage wasn't terribly down here because he had so many assists. But what is happening is his field goal attempts are down. He was getting 15 plus a game. He's at like 12, 13 at the moment. That's a little bit of a concern. Don't do anything stupid with it, but just watch it. Van Vliet had 20 and 3 with 4 threes and a steal. Good to see that. And then let's do a check-in on the Jollibee legend, Jalen Green. 32 minutes, 11, 7, and 4. Pretty good. Bad shooting, but 2 blocks. But what this means is that they did drop down Amen Thompson's minutes, and I hate it. I hate it here. 6 and 6, 2 steals, 3 blocks. Now, we shot 20%, and I'm still holding him. So now my faith in, not in Amen, my faith in how Udoka deploys Amen is a little shaken. I thought, okay, we saw what happened straight after the break. Amen got big minutes. And now we're back to 21 minutes for him is very borderline. It's very borderline. Dylan Brooks was a putrid minus 20 in this game. He had 13 points, 40%, not a 12-team league player. And Whitmore had 12 in 17. Ken Whitmore, also not a 12-team league player, by the way. He's a streaming guy. That's about it. Deeper league player. The Amen Green thing is going to be something to watch as we move forward. Again, I wouldn't say that Jalen played particularly well. He was a minus 13 and Amen was a minus 10. Green shot 39%, Amen shot 20%. But the fact that Udoka was quick on this one in reducing Amen's minutes is a little frustrating. It puts a little element of doubt into what we do with Amen Thompson here. We still hold for now, and we see where this ends up taking us, or where Udoka ends up leading us. Oh, I could have said something really bad then, but I won't do that. Let's go into the next one. It is the Bulls and the Pelicans. Brandon Ingram returned from illness, and he slotted in for CJ McCollum. They didn't go with a guard. They played Zion at point guard. So Ingram was in that starting lineup alongside Jones and Murphy, Zion, and Jonas Valanciunas. So did they win? No. The Bulls win 114-106 on the road, and the Andre Drummond-Nikola Vucevic pairing was dead. It just didn't happen. 14 minutes for Drummond here, 7 and 8. I've got, I reckon, 3 games coming up where he's got a chance to start, and one of them is, I think, Wednesday against the Cavs. But otherwise, you're not holding a 14-minute a night backup center. Vooch, 22 and 13, pretty solid, still no free throws. Dosunmu, great. 21, 3 and 8, 3 steals, 53%, just got to be a rostered guy. And DeRozan had 24, 6 and 7. Kobe White was not playing particularly well, 28%. Actually benched him in industry pickup today because I needed to protect my field goal percentage, so that was a good decision. 16, 7 and 3 with 2 steals, and Caruso had 12, 3 and 2, 2 steals and 2 threes. So just good numbers for most of those guys. We only got 2 minutes of Julian Phillips with Dalen Terry, Terry Taylor, and Javon Carter getting the bench roles ahead of him. For the Pelicans, Zion at point guard, 19, 8, and 11 assists with 2 blocks, 60% shooting. Zion gets a lot of hate. Without even looking at -1 numbers, he's the 31st ranked player over the last 2 weeks in category leagues. He's starting to look a lot better. Ingram had 22, 3 and 6 with 3 steals. Getting 3 steals from Ingram is a huge W. And Valanciunas, more minutes because CJ was out. Get a little bit of extra offensive touch in there. 14 and 17 for him. So it appears that Valanciunas will play 20 minutes if the Ingram, Zion, McCollum pairing is out there. Or pairing, that's not a pairing, it's a trio. That threesome, that polyamorous starting group. If they're all out there, then Valanciunas is limited. If one of them's out, JV pushes up. Herb Jones couldn't quite continue the ridiculous form. Still bloody good. 15, 3 and 6 with 4 threes in 39 minutes. The hot streak continues, just not quite as hot. And Trey Murphy's cold streak continues. 9 points, 27%, 10 rebounds. Steal a block. While CJ is out, I don't mind holding Trey because 37 minutes is enough. But obviously the production's really, really bad. We're not rostering Larry Nance in 12s. He had 2 points and Jordan Hawkins played 15 minutes. We're not rostering him in 12-team leagues either. Let's do the next game then. It is the San Antonio Spurs and the Utah Jazz. The Jazz win it comfortably, 128-109. Wembanyama was not at his best. Still pretty good. 22 and 10 with 5 blocks. That's 3 games in a row with 5 blocks for Wemby. Could he average 5 blocks in a season? That's too much, yeah. 4? Sure. 5? I don't know. Shot really well as well, just wasn't at his best. And they got smacked. Vassell was good, nice bounce back from last time out. 27, 9 and 5 with 3 blocks. And Trey Jones had 15, 3 and 9, remains a 12-team league player. Keldon Johnson played 4 minutes. He went scoreless in that time, and he was obviously benched for a reason. I have not, at this point, seen any explanation as to what that reason is. Part of it is he's not good, but yeah. I have said this for years. I do not think that Keldon Johnson is a part of this team's future. It is definitely trending that way, and as you're well aware, I think you can drop him.
Get that garbage out of here.
Sohan had been playing well. He had 1 point on 5 shots, which he missed all of them. That's dreadful. So he moves, I guess, into that streaming zone now. In, out. When he's hot, he's not hot. And when he's not, he's not. All good. And with Keldon barely playing, we got 28 minutes of Malachi Branham, 14 points. That's still only deeper league stuff. We got 18 Blake Wesley minutes, and we had ended up with 21 Zach Collins minutes because Wemby didn't play that much. Good game from Zach in terms of 17 and 8 with a steal and a block. Unfortunately, he shot 1 of 5 from the line and 41 from the line, also from the field, and you just don't need to roster Zach Collins in 12-team leagues. For the Jazz, 16, 2 and 10 from the Padawan, Colin Sexton, 4 steals. Great game. He's been awesome this season. John Collins, 20 and 8 with 2 steals and 2 blocks. Also turned into a really good player after a very slow start. And Markkanen had 26 points. Clarkson, 22, 2 and 10. Clarkson's hard to sort of judge at the moment. He's on a good run, so we roll with it. I think it'll end at some point. And that meant that it was a bad night for Keontae George. 7 points, 23%, 6 assists, a steal and a block. Now, I like that he got 6 assists. I like that he got a steal. I like that he got a block. He just shot poorly. We know this is going to be a concern with him. I still believe that we roster him in all leagues. And Taylor Hendricks got 26 minutes again. We still probably need Taylor to get 32 to be a must-roster 12-team league guy. He had 9 and 3 with a block. I think it will trend there eventually. Your appetite for holding on to him and waiting for that is... I don't think he's a 12-team ad necessarily. Again, it's going to be, have you got stash ability? Do you need that production immediately? That's how you view it. But the fact that he's getting these minutes as a starter is very, very interesting. And what do you do with Walker Kessler? Well, I think in a category league, you have to hold 10 and 6 with 3 blocks in 19 minutes. Still enough. Points leagues, you don't need to hold. He just isn't playing enough or getting enough production on a regular basis to be considered a must-roster player. You can, but I don't think that it's a necessity to do that. Let's jump into the next one. The Charlotte Hornets, in another low-scoring affair, beat the Blazers 93-80. That is 2 games in a row that the Hornets have played where one team has scored in the 80s. One of them was the Hornets, and this one is the Blazers. How about Long Richard Richards? Big Richard Richards. Big Dick. Nick Dick. 21 and 10, 2 steals, 3 blocks, 33 minutes. Best game in a long time for Richards. Just got to be rostered. Cody Martin was great. 11, 6 and 10 with 2 steals and a block. He's playing pretty well. He's at least on the 12-team fringes. It actually makes him top 100 over the last 2 weeks. I'm not fully convinced that he's a 12-team must, but this was great. It wasn't great for Trey Mann, though, who had 6 points on 29%. One thing that's bothered me, I guess, with Mann is that he hasn't really ramped into big usage since arriving in Charlotte. This was not a good shooting night. I would still hold Trey Mann. They closed with Vasily Micic down the stretch. Again, I think I keep saying that wrong. Micic down the stretch. He had 11, 2 and 7 with 2 steals in 24 minutes. That's intriguing. Those assists are interesting. Not enough for me to grab him, but it's just a deeper league spot. While Grant Williams is, are we back to old Grant, are we? 5 points, 24 minutes. I'll probably hold him one more, and that's about it. While Miles Bridges and Brandon Miller both shot identical 44% on 18 attempts. Bridges had 18 and 10. Miller had 17 and 4 with 2 steals, like totally okay games without being awesome. Cool. For the Blazers, still no Brogdon, no Scoot, no Sharp. Brogdon had PRP injections in his elbow. No update on his return. I don't think he's coming back. Or maybe he does. I'm not convinced, though. While Scoot apparently is doing no on-court work, so he's not going to play tomorrow or Wednesday. But they do have a game on... They play tomorrow, so he's not going to play then. Is it tomorrow? What am I thinking of? Yeah, they do play tomorrow. God, Josh, figure it. No, they don't. They play Tuesday. That's it. But they do play a Friday, Saturday back-to-back, so maybe he's back for the Saturday one of those. And that might give you a little bit of interest there in Scoot. Like, obviously, we wanted to grab him, and then he got hurt straight away. So what that meant is the rotation's a bit all over the place. And Matisse Thybulle put together one of the stupidest games you'll ever see. 0 points, 4 rebounds, 6 steals, and 2 blocks. Well, we know what he is. He's always a good steals and blocks streamer, but that's outrageous. DeAndre Ayton, who'd been bad at times this season, turns in a 26 and 19 game, and he actually got free throws, 4 of them. 69% from the field as well. While Anthony Simons, it was his turn to be dreadful. 10 points, 19%. No assists as the team's starting point guard. 0 steals and 0 blocks as well. An absolutely horrendous game. He is bad at the moment. We thought there was a chance he might really blow up this season. He did not. He is 70th for the year, 173rd over the last 2 weeks. Just really bad stuff. Jeremy Grant had 15 points with 5 assists and 2 steals, which is okay. And Chris Murray continues to start. They're just doing a few little things. 6, 9, and 4 with 2 steals, 22%. The 33 minutes is intriguing. I think there will be a moment where we are at least considering Chris, a 12-team league guy, as a stream guy. Maybe not a must, but we're getting a little bit of something happening there. But with Kamara and Walker, and then they'll throw random blokes off the street into rotation roles, it could get a little messy down the stretch, I think, for the Portland Trail Blazers. Let's do the final game of the day. It was the Kings taking on the Clippers in LA. We did have a change of the lineup there because Paul George was out with knee soreness. Norman Powell missed the last game. He was questionable with an ankle problem, but he was able to return and he stepped into the starting lineup, not Amir Coffey, instead of Paul George. We heard Ty Lue say, just wanted to try something a little bit different with that lineup because it had been Coffey who'd always been stepping into that role. The Kings get the big win, 123-107, the final score here. For Sacramento, we talked about this a lot before the All-Star break, saying De'Aaron Fox's shoulder seemed to be banged up, and maybe this rest at the All-Star break would get things turned around. Well, it has. He's been ridiculous. He had 33, 6, and 7 with 3 steals on 55% shooting. It's a pity that Sabonis couldn't shoot that well. He was only 41%, but another triple-double with 3 steals. 17, 15, and 12 for Sabonis there. And it was a good game from the pencil. Harrison Barnes. Barnesy. Now, usually I just ignore this. I'd say 22 points in 36 minutes. Cool. He had 2 rebounds and 1 assist. He shot 67% to get there. It's not real. But they play Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Now, they don't play on the weekend, so this is where being smart, I think, in fantasy works. Well, of course, being smart works as a general rule. But you could look at this and go, well, I'm not going to add Barnes. The Kings have got 3 games next week. Bad schedule. All right, I'll get a 4-game guy. I mean, sure, but also look at this. They play Monday, low volume day. Wednesday, low volume day. Friday, low volume day. And you know what you do after Friday? Jack Armstrong.
Get that garbage out of here!
So it's actually a great schedule for the Kings. You got a great time frame here. And the same with Vanderpants Kevin Huerter, 15 points, 3 threes. It's great. And then after Friday, you jack him and get somebody else in. That's pretty easy, I think. Malik Monk, not at his best, 12, 2, and 5, but he played 28 minutes, and it's just a lot of sort of usual stuff. Except for some reason, Chris Duarte is back. He had 4 points in 16 minutes and remains bad. For the Clippers, big fella Kawhi had 20 and 8 with 4 steals and a block. He didn't shoot well, but the other stuff's good. Zubats, 33 minutes. That's interesting. 16 and 6. I wonder if that's because Paul George was out. Maybe. We also had another interesting center thing happen. Mason Plumlee, the cockroach. Did they finally kill him? He's out of the rotation. Daniel Tice steps in with 8 and 6. And if you want to know what to do with Russell Westbrook,
Get that garbage out of here!
8 and 4, 30% shooting, 18 minutes. Why are we rostering him? What are we doing? Norman Powell had 21 points with 5 threes. He's in that group, the guys that you stream in for points and threes, the Leaky Beasley Memorial Social Club. So you can look at him in that spot. And Terrence Mann, 2 good games in a row. 14, 6, and 4. I don't really care to add him in 12s. 16s, yes. 14, maybe. Jimmy Harden had 20 and 5 with 8 assists, but he shot poorly. But the 10 of 10 from the line is obviously pretty nice. Pretty nice. All right. That brings us now to talk about the lines of the night. Yeah, let's get straight into the monstrous line of the night. Who was the best performer of the day? There were a couple of options we could have gone with there, but in the end, we do go to Big Chungus. Nikola Jokic, 32, 16, and 16. This is just a ridiculous run at the moment from Jokic. He is dominating. The waiver wire line of the night, the best performance from a player rostered in under 50% of leagues. This one, I think is pretty obvious. It was an early game. It was Royce O'Neal. He had 20 and 10, the Basmati man. He racked up numbers all over the place. He played huge minutes. Remember, though, no Beal, no Gordon. There will be an impact there, but it was huge from him to get that production going. The young gun of the night, well, it was a day where Victor Wembanyama played, so we assume that Victor Wembanyama gets it. I guess not, because this man was on the thumbnail, the big fella. Chesterfield Holmgren had 29, 8, and 7. He blocked 3 shots. Great game from Chet, putting up some huge numbers. Not quite Wemby numbers, but some huge numbers nonetheless. And on a negative slant to end week 17, who was the dud of the night? This man absolutely sold. RIP in pieces, your field goal percentage. Anthony Simons, 10 points, no assists, 19% shooting. Disgusting. Bad. Let's look at the top 6 players for the day for Sunday. We'll start, of course, with the top 6 category league guys, and number 1 on that list is very obviously Nikola Jokic, followed by Chet Holmgren, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, DeAndre Ayton, Damian Lillard, and the Basmati man, Royce O'Neal. Your top 6 guys rostered in under 50% of leagues. It is O'Neal. Streamable for sure. I don't think it's a must roster. Remember, they don't play until Thursday. Ayo Dosunmu, grab him everywhere. DeAndre Hunter, I do think there will be a drop in the shooting numbers, but Trey's absence does open it up for him to be rostered. Big Dick Richards, yep, easy ad. Cody Martin, some stream value there for him at the moment. And Karis LeVert, not really buying it, although it was obviously a pretty good game from him today. Your top 6 players for Yahoo points scoring for the day. Jokic at 1, followed by Sabonis, Gilgeous-Alexander, LeBron James, Chet Holmgren, and Yusuf Nurkic with all those rebounds, putting him into that spot. So, let's take a look at some takeaways before we do industry pickup recap and my league pickups. Just some guys. Oh, what the hell is? I wrote Andrew Nembhard's name down twice. Yeah, I think you're adding Ayo Dosunmu. I think you are adding Andrew Nembhard. I think you can drop Daniel Gafford and Derek Lively there in Dallas. Instead of Nembhard, you could put Mathurin there because the Pacers do have a really nice schedule. Harrison Barnes and Kevin Huerter. If you just want to add them for that little short-term thing, I do get that. There is some value. Or Cody Martin would be one of the other ones who I'd consider as a somewhat interesting guy to take a squiz at in that position. So, let's go and have a look at my league recaps for the week. We'll start with industry pickup. I was down most of the week because I was very mindful of the games limit and saved some games for the end of the week. In the end, I do come all over the top of Mike Catron, watch the boxes, with a 6-3 victory. That will be enough. I'm already guaranteed playoffs, so that's good. We got that one. Let's look at the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Bowl category league matchups. This is the only one I haven't, well, not the only one. The only one I did check was industry pickup to know that I won. Let's check these other ones to see what the scores are here. I've got zeros for some reason. What is going on with that? Some sort of temporary glitch. We're all fixed now. So I beat Ain't No Jokic 5-4, and I beat Rap 5-4. So that's a W. If we look at my Locked On Fantasy Basketball Bowl Points League matchups, I remember 3 days ago I was really tight with the Big Bird guy. We're like 2 points apart. Let's see whether I ended up getting over the top of him in this one. Yes, I did. 15-22 over the biggest bird, 14-69, and I smashed the Tiger Shark. So a 2-0 win there. So pretty happy with that overall. So let's have a look. How did I do on Yahoo? Alex's amazing team got me 3-5. I am slumping here at the moment. Beal out is hurting. I am 5th. I hope I'm still going to be able to get playoffs, but yeah, let's have a look. Ooh, Spider's going to catch me. He was in 7th. Ooh, this is not good. Who is 6th? Ed Monix. He catches me as well. Oh, I've dropped down to 7th. I need to really pick it up now and jump forward. That's not good. Let's have a look at 30 deep as well. I'm eliminated from the playoffs in this, but now my team is starting to get good. We're starting to put up some numbers. So let's have a look. I just want to make sure I don't end up on the bottom of the standings. So I had a 6-3 victory over Eric On and over Jamie Eisenberg. I 7-1-1'd him as one of the worst teams in this league. I think I'm sitting 27th out of 30th. It's been bad. I've been in the playoffs every year in 30 deep, except for this year. But 7-1-1, just enough there to keep me off the bottom of that league. Let's go over back to the Fantrax leagues and have a look at the standings. We'll go have a look. Actually, we'll give you the results of the rest of the matchups there. So, Drew Dinkmeyer beat Alex Barutha 8-1. Mitch Casey beat Rhett Bauer 6-3. Mike Barner beat Noah Rubin 7-2. Dan Titus beat Alex Raclean 6-3. And it was Kingy versus Mitch Casey. And Kingy gets the victory 5-4. So in the standings, I am miles ahead here. I'm 10 games ahead of Drew Dinkmeyer. So I can't lose the number 1 seed because we've got 1 week left until playoffs. So Drew's in second. Rhett's in third. Mitch Casey's fourth. Mike Catron is fifth. And B-Dub is sixth at the moment. Kingy comes in 7th. He's 2.5 games behind B-Dub, so a chance to make it. Same with Noah Rubin and same with Mike Barner. They're all basically equal. Dan Titus is done. He can't get in, I don't think. No, he's done. Alex Raclean is out and Alex Barutha is out. Now I want to see who I actually play next week. How do I influence the other results? Who am I playing against? Oh, it doesn't really do much because I'm against Rhett Bauer, who is third. This result doesn't really impact me hugely, but yeah, there we go. Good matchup for me, but I can't sort of influence the guys who are on the fringes and see whether I get a victory there. Let's have a look at the Locked On Fantasy Basketball standings in the category league with 1 week left there until the playoffs as well. I am in the main Red Claws division. It just takes a while to load up because there are so many divisions in this. Remember, we've got 720 teams in the Locked On Fantasy Basketball category league and 360 in the points league. So in the main Red Claws, Rap is second overall in this little subdivision in the north. He's second overall and he's in my division. I beat him this week, didn't I? Yeah, I was against Rap. I didn't realize. Yeah, I beat him. L to you, my guy. So I am in second. I am 9.5 games clear of Uborn, so I'm in number 2, so good with that. Can't catch Rap, he's 16 games ahead, but happy to be sitting there in second spot. And then in the points league standings, I'm in the Jason Kidd division of this one. We've got 30 overall divisions of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball points. I'm in the division with the best player in this, which is Luka Me. I am 7 behind him. I am 24-10. I am 2 games ahead of third. So I can't go any lower than third. I don't think I'd even drop lower than third. I'd have to lose both of mine. Pound the Rock would have to lose them. Then we'd have to get to tiebreakers. So I'm probably going to finish second in categories, second in points, and then we go to the playoffs and see how all of that plays out. And that brings us to the end of Week 17's final show. So this show will come out on audio. It just will be a little bit later, but if you are here on YouTube, thank you for being here first with your first watch and first listen every day. Hit that thumb up, hit that notification bell. I thought I tried my best to tell people that the audio wouldn't be there. I think I mentioned it 5 or 6 times last week and mentioned it a few times here and tweeted it out a few times, but still people didn't get that because I don't listen to every second of every show. I get it. But the audio will be back tomorrow, so our long national nightmare will be over. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. See ya.